Okay, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing all the books that I've read so far in the year of 2025 because I have yet to film a wrap up for any month on YouTube. So this is basically me combining January, February, and March because it's currently April. It's actually almost the end of April by the time you'll see this, and I've read like 4 books in April so far, so this is going to be like 20-ish books. So let's get started. Okay, I think I'm going to start with series. I've read essentially 2 like almost full series this year. So first, this is actually going to be no in particular order. It's just like this, my stack of books are here and I'm grabbing them as I go. I want to say I really listened to them on audiobook, the Divergent trilogy by Veronica Roth. I have had this on my TBR for quite some time. I love the Divergent movie, the first one, not the other 2. And I made it a goal to read the books because I never have. And then I actually ended up listening to them on audiobooks. So I've gotten to audiobooks this year, which has really changed the game for me. So I have Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant, and I honestly think I rated all of them a 3. I didn't love them. I loved the book, I love the movie better than I like any of the books. The first movie more than any of the books. But it's books that have been on my TBR for a while and I got them off. Checked, done, and I'm very happy about that. Okay, so the second series is actually the Bridge Kingdom series by Danielle Jensen, and when you're watching this, I'm currently reading book 5. It's up there, but I read 1 through 4. So we have the Bridge Kingdom, we have the Traitor Queen, we have the Inadequate Heir, and then Endless War. And if you guys don't know what this series is about, these 2 books are Lauren and Aaron, and these 2 books are Laura's brother Karis and Zara. So basically, in the Bridge Kingdom, Laura has to marry the king of their rival nation, Ithacana, and she is technically a spy, and so her goal is to go there and like infiltrate Ithacana and gain access to the bridge. They have this big bridge like a lot of trade goes through, and Laura's father, the king of Manadrina, wants control of the bridge, so he sends Laura to go and like infiltrate the island. You know, obviously they fall in love. So this is books 1 and 2. And then we switch to Karis, and who's Laura's older brother, and he falls in love with someone from Valcata. And if you guys don't know, Maradrina and Valcata are also at war. And it's just a big plot, and the story keeps going. So the next 2 books, 5 and 6, are Aaron's twin brother Anna, and she goes to marry the Prince of Herondale, and that's another nation, and all these nations are at war with each other essentially, but they're trying to make peace with each other. It's not working. So that's the plot of the Bridge Kingdom series summed up. I honestly have just recently discovered Danielle Jensen. I read A Fate Inked in Blood by her, and I loved it. The sequel actually comes out next month and I'm so excited. And then she ended up republishing this series, so books 1 through 4 were republished, and that's why I started reading them in preparation for the new book that came out last week. And then book 6 doesn't come out until 2026. What am I gonna do? Okay, so now starting with my big pile of books I read. These are gonna be in no particular order. But something I did do this year is I made a little TBR jar and I wrote down all the books I had on my physical TBR, and every month I've made it a goal to pick at least 1 book and read it. So I'm trying to minimize my physical TBR, especially because some of these books I've had on the TBR for so long including the Divergent series, and I'm finally like chipping away at my TBR one book at a time. And one of the other books was Forever Never by Lucy Score. I was on a really big Lucy Score kick when I was in college. I read Things We Never Got Over by a Thread. I actually ended up DNFing the second book in the Knock 'Em Out series, and I never picked up the third. This caught my eye when I was in my Lucy Score phase, and I just like never picked it up. Solid. It's a solid 3.5 for me. I actually really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. And honestly, this was a brick. This is a 500-page romance, which is unnecessary in my opinion, but I ate it up more than I thought I was going to, and I liked the little like mystery aspect there was to it. So 3.5 for Forever Never. Now, this was probably one of my most anticipated sequels. Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. Now this, she did something right with this, because I loved Heartless Hunter. I did. Loved it so much. I was very nervous for the second book. Duologies are hard to do, and they're hard to do right, because I read a good amount of duologies where the second one is just like okay. I've never feel like I've had a duology that's like both books are just like top tier gold. Both books top tier gold. I love them so much, and like you wouldn't tell by the amount of tabs I have, because I just read this so quick, and I like wish I slowed down a little bit to like savor it more, but I just ate up every second of this book. And I love Rune and Gideon, and I would love to see more, and I'm sad that it's only 2 books. Like I could easily read 10 books about them and never get bored, but honestly we only get 2, so I just had to live with that. Okay, the next one, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Honestly, I'm not going to talk about this much. I did it, I read it, I have nothing positive to say. Maybe only that Riddick was the highlight of this book. I love Riddick, and if Rebecca Yarros ever kills off or injures Riddick in any way, I will stop reading the series. But yes, I did read Onyx Storm, and that's all I got to say. Another one that was the most anticipated, and the movie needs to come out ASAP, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and this book still haunts me to this day. Most favorite book in the Hunger Games series by far. It was so painful, but it was so good. And honestly, some of the most painful books are so good. And my poor baby Hamish, you understand him so much more, and I have no words. Like, I think this book haunted me for at least 2 weeks after I finished, and I don't think I'll ever be the same ever again. And the fact is that they're gonna make a movie out of this, and we just know they're gonna do it right, so I'm not worried about that. I just fear that I have to relive the pain over again, and that's what I'm scared about. But top like 10 out of 10, so good. I can't even explain to you how I feel. Just that it was painful and beautiful and amazing and gut-wrenching, heart-breaking, soul-crushingly sad. I think that's all I can say, honestly. And then I also finally read Be Still My Heart by Emily McIntyre and Sav Miller. This was another one that's been on my TBR for like ages, and this one was good. This was categorized as a suspenseful romance. If you guys don't know, I'm not a big thriller girl. Thrillers just aren't my genre, and I can't really get into them, but this one I was thoroughly intrigued. And she's a detective, I believe, and then she goes to this small island because bodies keep showing up, and she's kind of like in the heart of the investigation and has to work with like one of the local, like, he's a lobstering person, like lobstering is just like his profession, and the bodies keep showing up in his lobster trap, so she thinks that he's honestly the culprit. So she's trying to work with him to find the culprit, but she suspects him the whole time, and he's kind of like, well, get out of my town, basically. But this one was good. This is good, and I don't know why I waited so long to read it, but sometimes you just need the push. So there it is. There it was. Okay, I'm including this reread because why not? Rereads count, in my opinion. Can we guess what the reread was? The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. One of my all-time favorite books ever. And fun fact, I actually got my mom to read it too, and she actually ended up reading the whole Dreamland Billionaire series. And I love influencing people, and I love putting people on to Lauren Asher because I love her books. I do. And we don't get a new Lauren Asher book until August. What am I gonna do until then? I'm probably gonna reread Throttled at some point. So if you see Throttled in a wrap-up, then you know I did it. I read it. But Rowan Cain will forever be my favorite. One of my favorites. Okay, a new author kind of on my radar has been B.K. Borison. I've read 2 B.K. Borison books. I read the first book in the Love Light Farm series and the last book. Fun fact, I read the last book first, and then I decided to backtrack and go read the rest of them, but I only got through book 1. I haven't read 2 and 3 yet, but she had a new release this year. First time caller. And you know, there was a lot of mixed opinions about this, I think. My friend Emma didn't love it as much as I thought she would, and I ate it up. And she's a B.K. Borison stan. Like, she was like, you need to read B.K. Borison's Love Light Farm series, and I put it off for so long until like finally I couldn't put it off any longer. And so I thought when we read this that we would both love it, and I ended up loving it more than her. And that's shocking because she was like the B.K. Borison stan, and she likes the Love Light Farm series better. I think I like this book better. I think out of the 3 I've read, it goes Business Casual, First Time Caller, then Love Light Farms. And I think if she had to rate them, Emma, if you had to rate them, she would put this last. But I think it's just funny. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you that, but I did. Okay, my second reread of the year was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Here's the thing with this. Obviously, her new release comes out in April, actually next week. Actually, when I'm filming this, it's currently Saturday. The book comes out on Tuesday. But I have been debating my Emily Henry ratings. I think Happy Place is at the top for me. Beach Read and Book Lovers are kind of on the same tier because I read them like back to back. I don't know which one I like better yet because I still have to reread Beach Read. And then I would think Funny Story, and then People We Meet on Vacation. I'm curious to see where The Great Big Beautiful Life falls into there. But the reason I'm telling you this is because I plan to reread all of them except for People We Meet on Vacation. People We Meet on Vacation will always be dead last. I will never pick that book up ever again. I'm sorry, Emily Henry. I can't read that book again. But I'm going to be rereading all of them, and then I'll have my final Emily Henry rankings by the end of the year. So I forgot how much I love Charlie Lastra, actually. I think he is so unintentionally funny, and I don't remember that at all. I don't remember him. He has like such a dry sense of humor, but if you get it, you get it, and I got it. So I had a good time. I added some annotations because I think the first time, I also think I read this when I was like new to annotating, so I added some new annotations in there, and that's always fun to do. I love when I annotate a book and then I reread that book and then I add more annotations. Then Wild Side by Elsie Silver. Now this book did something to me that I cannot explain to you. I mean, I love Elsie Silver. I've read all of her books. All of the books that she has published, I have read. I am a Rhett Eaton stan. Flawless is by far my favorite book, and nothing beat Flawless. But when I read the first book in the series, actually when I read this series in general, so this is book 3 in the Rose Hill series, Wild Love, Wild Eyes, and Wild Side. And I mean, this is a series with all single dad typecast kind of. And I thought I loved Ford. And then I met Wes, and I loved Wes. And then I met Reese. And now Reese is not only my favorite Rose Hill boy, he might be on the same tier as Rhett Eaton for me and Flawless. And that's a big statement coming from me, and I loved this book with my whole heart. Like, I will recommend with my whole chest. And like, reading this book once would not be enough. Like, I will be probably rereading this before the end of the year is even over, because that's how much I love it. So that's all I had to say about this. And Elsie Silver can do no wrong, and I love her book so much. So if you've never read an Elsie Silver book, what are you doing? Please do. Honestly, I recommend starting with Flawless. Okay, and then my last physical book that I have in front of me is Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and I liked this. I think it took me a minute. I think this book could have been a little smaller. A little dinky, tiny bit smaller. I think I didn't really love it until like I got like maybe like here. But I'm so excited for the sequel. I didn't think I would like this, honestly, because I was like just about it for like a long time. And then like at the end it kind of just like that flip kind of switched, and I need the sequel immediately, please. And I'm not sure how many books this series is gonna be. I want to say it's only gonna be 2, but that doesn't seem right, so I'm not sure. But this was the last physical book that I read, and I'm going to be going into my Kindle reads now. Okay, so coincidentally, I read 4 books on my Kindle. 3 of those 4 books were the Skyridge Hotshot series. So we have Fight by Salone St. James. We have Protect by Paisley Hope. And then we have Honor by Danielle Baker. And honestly, I liked all 3 of them. I think if I had to pick a favorite, it would have been Fight, because there's just something about him that I loved. And books 2 and 3 were just okay to me. But I read the whole series, and that was fun. I'm glad I did. And then my 4th Kindle book was Cash by Jessica Peterson, which is like a small town cowboy romance, and it's gonna be about brothers. So it's Cash, Wyatt is the second one. I think Sawyer's book 3 coming out, and I don't know who the 4th brother is. I know his name, but I don't remember it. So I'm hoping to read those by the end of the year. Okay, so that was all the books I read so far, excluding my April reads, because I'll probably do an April wrap-up at some point, or maybe I'll do like April, May, June, kind of squished it again, where I did like 3 months in one. I don't know. I guess you'll have to find out and wait and find out and see. But I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.